Let's try now. All right, guys, welcome back to week 2 summary class. Yeah, he's joining now.
Okay.
Okay. Skip this, please. Week 2. All right. We covered the week 1. This is for the week 2 summary class, right? We have spoken about. I was removed by host. Yeah. Why is he not joining? Okay, let's start the class. I hope he can join. But it's weird. Do you see him, Sunat?
No, not it.
Okay. All right. So let's just start. We in the class 5, we are going to learn about Java class, different type of class members, what is class instance, how to access class members, and to understand what is Java objects. Okay. I have uploaded the week 1 solution. Not working still. Can you make me co-host, Sunat?
Sure.
Let me try.
Okay, you are now host.
This is crazy, man. It doesn't happen like that at all. Maybe a problem at his end because everybody of you were able to join. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Class 5. Okay. I have uploaded the week 1 solution. Let me actually open this up. And I hope you have already seen them. If you go to the location that I have already given you. So Wisdom QA classes, this is for April 2021. And QA classes 2021. All right. Here under free sessions, under assignment solutions, I have given you week 1 solution already. I want you to, have you guys gone through it? Have you guys seen that how I have implemented the solutions? Everybody is happy with that? Do you have any questions with week number 1 solutions? Shravanti? Sunat?
No, I completed last night only week 1 solutions, and I have started week 2 solutions also. I mean, week 2 assignments last night.
Why have you like waited whole week to start it with?
I had an issue with my laptop, it did not got repaired. So at last finally I made him to repair and I got it on Thursday. So I tried to cover few videos from week 2, and I started week 2 first assignment. I mean class 5 assignment.
Yeah.
But I'll make sure that I'll complete by today. The videos.
Okay. Okay.
Sorry to giving the excuse.
No, that's fine. Just put the time in, and don't wait for the last moment. Actually,
Yeah, sure. Sorry. Thank you.
I don't know. He's clicking somewhere else, maybe. Okay. So, what about others? Amruta, Komal, how about you guys?
Yeah, I've seen the solutions. Yeah, they're good.
No
Match.
questions from my side as well, sorry.
Okay. All right. Emmanuel, Manoj, Moses, how are things with you guys?
Fine, Sovi.
Okay. Did you watch the video? Did you watch the? So I mean, did you go through the solutions and try to compare it with your own solution?
Yes, I've seen the videos, yes, but I think I have one more to go. Yeah.
Okay, your voice is very feeble. I don't know why. I'm not able to hear you properly.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yes, in the videos, yes, I've got one more to go, then I've tried the solution.
Okay. All right. Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's cool. Let's jump straight in to class 5 then. Okay. So guys, from class 5 onwards, we are actually getting started with object-oriented programming. Okay. You probably have watched the video, and I have explained the different concepts in Java programming, especially what is class. So far, okay, let me actually open my Eclipse. So far, you have just seen a very simple class. We have just created a simple class, and then we have written some programs into it. But February, April 2021. Okay. But now onwards, we will actually understand what is basically a class all about. I'm just kind of a little bit concerned about this guy, Harris. I'm not sure what is it doing.
Better we can give him the meeting ID. Can directly
I,
dial.
I actually gave him the link just right now.
Okay.
That has the meeting ID as well, so it
Yeah.
should work.
It's easy to log in with the meeting ID.
How is that possible that he can't? Yeah, now he's there. Let me try to add on him. Ah, now he's in. Hi, Harris. Harris, can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear.
Yeah, I'm not sure what was happening with you. We were trying to get you in, and it was not. When I click on admit, nothing was actually happening. So in you're totally
Yeah, that's fine.
sorry, you're breaking up, man. Hello, you're breaking up. Can't hear you anymore.
Second.
Yeah,
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Have I missed much?
No, not much. We just started. Don't worry. Okay. All right.
Okay, that's fine.
So we are basically talking about Java. So far, we have just written some simple code. And whenever we have written some simple code, you have seen that, we have written it inside a class. But ideally, until week number 2, we don't really know what is this class all about. What is this class all about? We don't really know about that. So this is what we are supposed to learn, because class, Java class is the first building block for any programming, I mean, for test automation or for learning Java as a programming language. Okay, we need to know what is class, what is object-oriented principle, and all this stuff. So what I will do is I will create a new project. Let's name it as week 2 summary class. I'm expecting from you that you will ask me many more questions regarding week number 2. I'm expecting that this session is not the first session, or it's not the first time you are looking at what is class, okay, or all the concepts of week 2. So please understand that summary classes are your, your main session where you will ask or clarify all your doubts. Okay, that's why I'm here. So I'm saying Java test here. And once I have that, I'll say finish. Okay. And now let's try and understand what is a class. Okay. So as I have explained it in the video, I said class is nothing but a blueprint. It's a blueprint. Okay. For example, you were asked to create you were asked to hold multiple students information. You have in a particular class, you want to have multiple students information registered. Okay, what is one way? One way of doing it is you are storing information like in a string. You can store information like string name equals Sunat. Okay, string class equals class 2a. Okay, 2a. String say location, say Dublin. And this information that you have stored is basically belong to one student, and then to store the information of student, you just go on and copy and paste, and you just do this repetitive task over and over and over again, and you just keep on adding different name here, say Amrita. Okay, say Moses, say Manoj, right? And you just keep on doing the same thing over and over again. The question is this is the smarter way? Again, there's another problem. Problem is, today you are asked to, okay, just store name, class, and location. Tomorrow, maybe they will ask you to store, I don't know, maybe job type, something like that. I'm just taking up a simple example, job type. If I want to do that, now think about it. Say software engineer. Okay. If I want to do that, I will have to write this piece of code over and over and over again for hundreds of students that I will be creating. The question is it a smarter way, or do we have something better than that? Can we use something else that is much more smarter? Yes, it is there. And that is where I talk about, or we have to understand about this concept called as blueprint. What is blueprint? Blueprint is nothing but a class. For example, you are asked to create a student information. You want to store student information. That's your bottom line. That's your main motive. All right. So then you can create a class called students, called students, class students. Inside class students, now you have an option to add as many as attributes you want for the student, as well as properties of the students. When I say attributes, meaning the information, student information, for example, string name, you don't give the value here. Understand this. You don't give the value here. You just say string name, you create a simple variable. The idea is here you will be storing some information. How we will do that? We'll come to that later on. Okay. For now, just list down all the attributes you are concerned about. So string name, number one. Second, string location, string job type, something like that. And then you can have properties, meaning these are methods. Attributes are the elements that will actually store the information, and properties are the elements that will have some action. For example, I have a property here that okay, start learning Java. Okay, that's a property. A student is having a property to start learning the Java program, right? And that information, how to start learning a Java, I'm not concerned about it right now. But I'm just trying to say you that we are right now just working towards creating kind of a template or a blueprint that kind of gives you an information about the student, like the name, the location, the job type, and something that the student is capable of, like start to learning Java. Whatever I just said so far, is it making sense? Give me a shout, please. We are not yet talking about storing the data. So this is just a template, okay? We are not yet talking about storing the data. This part meaning, hold on. This guy over here, I am not yet concerned about. My first step would be to create a template. Is that making sense? This logic or this concept will take you a long way, guys. Not only in terms of Java programming language, but in every programming language that you will ever learn, you will have, when you design a project, you will always have to think from this perspective. Meaning we have to think about creating a model. This is a model, a student model, and another provision to store the data inside an instance of that model. We'll talk about that instance part later. But are you guys okay with this explanation? Give me a shout, please.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ovik.
Yes.
Okay, good. So let's try and do some programming. Okay, let's go back to the code, and we say new class. And what's the class? We will say, let's create a students class. Students class. Okay, you see, I'm not even writing public static void main. This is just working as a template for me. Good stuff. So I did create a students class here. I'm going to put in some information. Attributes, and properties. Okay, I'll say string. Let's keep it as public. Okay, I have given you an explanation what is public meaning. We'll talk about that later on as well. But for now, let me just give all the variables and methods as public, but later on we will change it. Okay. So public string name, no values here. Public string location, and public string gender. Let's just keep it simple. Okay, that's that. And as a part of properties, we say something like, for example, public void start class. Okay, start class and end class. Start class means just start learning, end learning, something like that. Start learning English. Okay, start learning English and end learning English, something like that. Very simple. End learning English. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to really bother about what do you mean by start learning English and end learning English. We'll just simply make a printout statement. Simple. Okay, printout statement. And what will I print? I will print name. So that's a string. That is what it will print in my console. Name plus I'll give space here and then say location. Name, let's give gender. Name, sex, gender, plus, how you say, location, and I'll say location, start English class. Simple stuff. That's it. That's the starting part. So that goes here ideally. And this guy goes here. End English class or stop English class. That's it. Simple stuff. You see, I am not even bothered about storing the data. Okay. Let's try to create another class, and we will name this class as sections. So every student go to a class, and in the class we have sections. Okay. So let's create another class, and we say section. Okay, section. Let's see. As a part of sections, logically think about it. What information we can have? We can have string name, section name, public string section name. Okay. And what else we can have? We can have, for example, student information, right? I want to add a student into the section, something like that. Okay. So we can say, you see that I have created a variable called as name. That's fine. And then I can add in another information, which is public student. You see, student. Okay, students. Do you see what I did? I created a class called students, and in the sections class, I'm creating a variable or an object of students, meaning this class students is working as a data type. So when we learn about data type, you will know that there are two different type of data types ideally. Number one is primitive and non-primitive. Primitive. Okay, meaning as a part of primitive, you will see int, float, double, those kind of guys. And non-primitive is string. What is string? String is nothing but a class. It is a class. Again, I just created another non-primitive data type for this particular project called as students. If you can call it as a non-primitive data type as well, because at the end of the day, this students that I created is a class, and I am trying to use this object of students class to store more and more information. Okay, so what can I do is, you know what? Instead of just creating just a students variable, I'm going to create something else. Okay, it is not something that I've covered. The idea is I want to store more and more students into my class. That is my whole idea. Okay, so in Java, there is something called as collections. I know I have not spoken about that, but because I started this story of sections and student, I have to follow that story to the end, till the end. So what I will do is, there is something called as collections in Java. Okay, collections in Java. And as a part of collections, there is something called as list in Java. Okay, so what is my motive? My motive is that in the sections class, I want to store more and more students. That's my whole idea. That is my whole idea. So what I did is I'm just, you see, whatever I'm just showing you right now, the whole story, I'm building it right now in front of you so that you can understand my thought process. All right. So I'm trying to create a collection that is basically a list of students. When we deal with collections later on, whatever the syntax I'm writing right now will make much more sense to you. But for now, just follow my lead and try to understand. My motive is to add more and more students into the section class. So instead of just creating an object of students, let's try to create list of students. The syntax you have not seen ever so far in this course. So I will import the list from Java util. Okay, and that's the simple object I created. Good stuff. Now in the sections class, these are my attributes. Perfect. Now in this section class, I can also have properties. As a part of property, in a section, what can you do? You can add a student, or you can remove a student, or you can view the student information, right? Let's try to do that. What we will do is we will say properties, and public void, okay, add student, just add student. Okay, this method add student, what will it take in the parameter? What should it take in the parameter? It should take the student information. Instead of saying string name or string location of the student, whatever I'm showing you guys, it is a little bit advanced, but I want you to get straight into it and clear your head. Okay. So string name, string location is what I can send in this method as a parameter. But instead of doing that, what will be the smartest way of doing it? The smartest way of doing it would be to send the entire student object inside this method. How? Student. Okay. Student. So I am planning to send that entire object of students, meaning I will basically send the whole information about the name, the location, and the sex. That's my motive. Okay. How can we do this? So what we will do is in list, student list, you know what? Actually, I need to do something. Here. I have to say it as new array list. Otherwise, it's not instantiated. Don't worry, I will explain that in a minute. So I just created an instance of list. Basically, I'm trying to store multiple student information inside this particular list. All right. So my motive is to just simply call one method dot add, and I will send the student information here. I know you have not seen any of it. Whatever I'm showing you, you have not seen any of it, but just look at the code base and I will explain these things one by one. Okay. So I have said add student. Good. Then I'm going to say one more thing. Public void view students. Okay. View students. Good. So I will say simply, I will say that I'm trying to get all the values from this list. So I'm going to use a loop, ideally. String, sorry, not string, but student. Student equals students. All right. All right. Now sysout dot name, sysout student dot location, okay, gender, and sysout student dot location. Okay. I have added two properties to the class.
Your voice is breaking. Hello?
These two properties. Yeah, just 1 minute. Can you hear me now, guys? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes,
we
now
can.
we can hear you.
Okay. So we have added two different properties, adding a student to the section and viewing those students. Okay. These are two different properties I've added. You don't really have to know right now that how exactly this loop is working or what exactly I'm trying to do to add the student into the list. You don't have to understand that right now. Okay. The story is simple. Guys, just follow my story. Story is, we want to store multiple students inside a section. That is all we are trying to achieve here. From the story, you can see that there are two primary entities. Number one is the students, and number two is the section. Everybody is okay with this particular section, this particular story? Yes or no? Just forget about whatever I have written in the section properties. Just right now, give me a shout if you understand this simple story or not. We want to store multiple students inside a section. Everybody is yes or no with that?
Yes.
Yes, yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the thing is, we are trying to store multiple students, not one, not two, but multiple students inside a section. So what can we do? We have to create multiple students information. How can we do that? What we have done, we have created a students class. In the students class, I have added two different sections. One is to hold the attributes. Basically, these are the variables that will store the data. That's number one. And secondly, I have added properties, meaning they're trying to start learning the English class or stopping the English class. That's all. Okay. So if that's the case, that's my students class. Cool. Let's try to create another class, and that class will help us to this entire story. Whatever the story I just said a minute back, I want to test the entire story. So just say test students. Students. Perfect. With a main method. Finish. Clear this. Okay. This is my clean class. Motive is only one thing. We want to create multiple students. That's my first motive. How can I create multiple students? By using this concept. I'm creating a car class or student class, and from there I am creating multiple different instances that holds different values. So how can we create these instances? We can create these instances with the help of I have covered this part now. Just a second. Let me refresh this. Okay. How can we create this multiple instances? We can create this multiple instances with the help of the keyword, which is new keyword. With that keyword, I should be able to create multiple instances of car class. Simple as that. Okay. Similarly, I will use a new keyword to create multiple instances of students class. So let's do that. Let's go back to that story. Students. Okay. Let's give the name as Manoj equals new students. and I am creating an object of Manoj. No problem. Let's try and do the same stuff for a few other guys. Okay. I'm trying to create multiple different students. So I'll just create 5 of them maybe. So I'll say Amruta. I'll say Amruta. I'll say Harris. I'll say Moses. I'll say Sumit. Perfect. Few of these guys are here. Now, this information right now, whatever you see, I will try to run this program just right now. Okay. I'll put a sys out, basically put a breakpoint right here in line number 19. And I want to show you something. I want to run this program, rather debug this program. Debug as Java application. If I do that, my execution will come at pause in line number 19. And now if I hover my mouse on top of each and every object, I see something. I see gender, location, name. They are all having the values as null, right? They're all having the values as null. Again, for every other object, they're all having the values as null because by default, Java is giving the value null to the string variable which you have added in your attribute section. So these are string variables and they don't have a data yet. So Java is giving a default value as null. If it is an integer, Java will give a default value as 0. Okay, so we just created this 5 different objects. Cool. My motive is to store some information about each and every object so that they can have different set of information. There is one more concept that I want to talk about right now. So we know about Java Virtual Machine, JVM, inside which our entire Java program is executing. Okay. Inside JVM, there are 2 different kind of memories. One is called as stack memory and one is called as heap memory. All right. Stack memory and heap memory. We will talk about stack memory and heap memory in a while, but just understand that in the heap memory, we are storing all the object information. Okay. So for example, we have Manoj, Amruta, Harris, Moses, Sunit. So each one of them will have ideally their own space. Harris, Moses, Sumit. So every one of you guys, or every one of these objects will have a location ID assigned to store the information for. Sorry, there was a internet issue, right? So one more time, I'm saying in this heap memory, we are creating multiple different objects, right? And each and every object will have a specific location, right? For example, this guy is having a location ID as something like that. Amruta is having location like this. Harris is having location like this. Moses like this. And Sunit like this, right? You have every one of you guys or all these objects will have different location IDs. And this object that I am talking about, each and every object will have the data within that particular confined space. Okay, that's how Manoj is different from Amruta. Not because the data of Manoj is different than Amruta, it is mainly because the location of Manoj is different than Amruta. That's why they are different, not the data. Okay, and I will prove that to you later on. Okay, we will come to this section again later on. We'll talk about Java, JVM, heap memory, and stack memory later on. But let's try to first and foremost add in some values for all these students. How do I do that? Very simple. I will just say Manoj dot. I can use a dot operator and I can say name equals Manoj. Again, let's give Manoj dot gender male. Manoj dot location, say Belfast, right? Simple. That's my Manoj information stored. I can just copy and paste it for other guys and then change the information quickly, right? That's Amruta. Okay, this is Amruta. This is female. This is Dublin. Again, Harris. This is your Harris. This is your male. This is your UK. Moses. Moses. Male, I think Ireland. And Mano Sunat is in Dublin. So Sunat, male, Dublin. Correct? That's all I got. I am having all the information added to these objects. Let's try to execute the program one more time in a debug mode. So debug as test students. Let's try to see now. Sunat, you have the information about Sunat. Go to Harris. Harris is having information about Harris. Every one of you guys are having information about yourself. These are my students, right? These are my students. So give me a shout and let me know whatever I just said in terms of students and putting the data inside the students. Are you guys okay with that part? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
This is my first part of the story, to create multiple students. Okay, so let me just say here, create multiple students. Multiple students. Perfectly fine. Next part of the story. What's the next part of the story? I want them to be added to a section. Can we do that? Certainly we can do that. How? We can say adding students to a section. Section. Okay. How can we do that? We can create an object of section class. Can we? Sure we can. So section. equals new section. Simply creating an object of section class. Okay. Let's give a name to the section. I'll say the section name would be, I don't know, section 2A or something like that, whatever, right? That's my section. Inside this, I want to store multiple students. How can we do that? Well, we can do that with the help of the method section 2A dot add student. Sorry, dot add student. That's a method, a property of the section class that can let me add student. You see, Eclipse is already giving me options. You see, I can go ahead and I can add Sunat, Moses, and just repeat the whole process again, right? To add all my students inside the section, right? So Amrita, Moses, Harris, Sunat, Amrita, Manoj, right? I am storing all my students inside the section. So storing part is done. How can we view it? Okay. Viewing will be again very easy, meaning we'll say section A to A dot, right? View students, right? View students. How can we do that? Just let's call the method. Let's just call this guy and see how that works. So run as Java application. We'll do this debugging and we will see something. Do you see? Everything got printed. Let me actually make it look a little better so that it looks little good for us, good for our eyes. So student plus gender plus student dot location. Simple. And I don't need all of them removed. Perfectly fine. Let's run this. See that? What we did, we created students, we added them to a class, and then we are getting the information out of it. Okay, we can also do something. So now you see something, right? I'm using this list of students and eventually getting all the information processed. That's good. But I am not actually using this name attribute anywhere. So I can do something. I can say that public void add section name, a property again. This is one way of doing it. There are multiple ways of doing this, but there's one way of doing it. So I say string name, and I say this dot name. You don't know what is this means. Don't worry. Just try to understand. Or you know what? Let me make something easy. Section name. All right. And we'll say name equals section name. That's it. That's it. Perfectly fine. And then I say add students. All right. Add students. And what we will do is add students. I'm thinking of something. Just a minute. I'm thinking of something. When I'm adding the student. All right, let's do this, right? Section name plus belongs to section to section, right? Plus name. That's it. So we will have another method here called add section name. So ideally we should write it like this. Section 2a dot add section name. Let's give a section name, say class 2 or class 10, section 2a, something like that, and just say run this, and you get the result a little bit formatted better. So you understand what I did. I actually created a small database where I am creating multiple students and then eventually accessing them, or eventually storing them inside a section and then getting the value out of a section. What we understood here is I don't want you to really concentrate on few things right now. I don't want you to concentrate on how did I add them or how did I got the information out of it. I use a loop, ideally a for each loop. This will make sense when you learn advanced concepts, but for now that is not what we are looking for. We're trying to understand. We're trying to understand how we can create multiple different classes and we can use it for our own story building or requirement. Is this making sense? You just saw that how I added my students inside a class and then finally accessed them. Is that understandable?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try to do a little bit of change in this same program. In the students class, we have this two method. You remember? Start learning English and stop learning and learning English. We have not really spoken about it at all. So what we can do is in the section class, we can perform public void perform action, something like that. As a perform action, we now can do something, meaning we can again use the same loop. All right, same loop. The idea is, or perform action, or I'll say start learning, start class, something like that, start class, right? And in here, what I will do is, you just saw that we have a student object here. Okay. What we can do is we can say student dot, all right, start learning English, and then we can, you know what, not perform action, not start class, we'll say perform action, that's better. Perform action, and then I want to immediately say stop learning English. Stop learning English. However, I want to give some gap in between. Start end. Yeah, and I want to give some gap in between the starting and stopping. So thread dot sleep, and I'll give like 2 seconds. All right, start learning English, and let me just say towards creation. Okay, what am I doing? I'm trying to start the English class, and then I want to give 2 seconds of gap, and then I will immediately stop it. That's my motive. Okay, let's try to perform this action now. We just got the view students. Let's try to do the same thing with students now. So view students, and we'll say section 2a, section 2a dot perform action. Okay. Okay. This keyword, don't worry about it. We'll cover it later on. All right. Let's try to run this program right now. Do you see that? Do you see that? How exactly it got printed? Starting location, start English class, stop English class. And that's how every students were covered to perform different actions. Is that making sense to everybody? Yes, no?
Yes.
Okay, any questions? I would like to take up any questions right now. Obviously, whatever I've written so far, it should trigger multiple questions inside your mind. Any questions that you want me to answer about creating a class, why to create a class, how to know what class to create? Do you have any questions regarding that?
No.
If you don't have a question, then can we try to build another story? And I would like to take your help to build the story.
Hello, Sovik, I have a question.
Go on.
When you're creating a class as a student, and you're making an instance as a student as well at the same time, why is it not actually seen it as an error?
Oh, I didn't get the question at all. You said that
create-
why am I creating a student?
I said, yeah, you created a class as a student.
Yeah,
And,
that wait. This is my student's class, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And you have created instance as a student as well in the same class.
No, where?
If you check, you have a section Java student, you have student Java, and then you have one sec here, because let me check my notes. We have student, and you have a list of students, and you have students as well at the same time.
Where?
In the same, yeah, in the same.
Look at my screen.
Under attributes.
In the attributes, where do you see list of students? Can you see my screen? You're seeing my screen, right?
Yes, please.
Where are you seeing that? Where are you seeing list of students?
List
of students is not here. List of student is in sections class.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And the reason for me to create a list of students over here is basically to store multiple student inside a list. List is nothing but a collection. It's a collection that can store multiple different objects. Okay. Collection is nothing but, so list is nothing but, you're trying to say that you are trying to store multiple students inside one single variable. That's the variable called students. The students variable is storing multiple students information.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. Yeah.
So the section is here to keep the information of multiple different students inside one single entity. That's why it's here.
Okay. Okay.
And can someone tell me, why do I have test students class ideally? Why do I have this class at all? I have two classes, section and students, I understand. Why do I even have test students class? Can you tell me that, please? Anyone?
That's the class. Sorry, God.
No, because this contains the main method, right? And JVM will trigger only from the main method. So this
that is right. That is one thing you're right with that. That you have to give a main method for your JVM to get started.
Yes.
That is totally right. Also, in this class itself, I am actually creating all these objects. You understand? This one, section and student, both of them are blueprint. They don't really contain any data. But this class over here called test students, it is obviously a main method, but in this main method, actually I'm testing my whole story, right? The story bit of creating students with the information, as well as adding the student inside the section and then viewing the information out of the section. Everything is built in this main method. Make sense?
Yes.
Give me a shout, guys.
Yes.
Manoj, what do you think about it?
Sovik.
Yeah.
I created a class blueprint. That's a main, and those are going to the stack in the JVM.
In the JVM,
Yes.
the methods are going inside the stack, but the objects are going inside the heap.
Yes. Okay. Yes.
Okay. Harris, what do you think about it? Whatever I just said so far?
Yeah, it makes sense. So you're just making a blueprint, and then you're using instance variables to pass through the parameters.
Okay, right. That's perfect. Shravanti, what do you think about it?
Yes, here in this particular test students, we are having the main method and we are creating the objects to store multiple students with the data.
Okay. I will ask a question. Rather, I want to give an exercise to you right now. I don't want to really create a program, but give me a logic. Just a logic. Let's try to build another story. Story is something like this. So create a library with multiple genre of books. Create a library with multiple genre of books. That's the story which I want you to build. Can we do that? Can you give me a understanding that how are we going to do with this program? Let me ask Manoj. Manoj, what do you think? How can we do this? Create a library with multiple genre of books. Let's first ask the question that what are the main entities in the story?
We can create attributes of
My question is, what are the main entities in this story?
class
No.
entities.
What are the main entities in this story? What are the main subjects of the story? Create a library of multiple genre of books, right?
Library and books.
Think about it again, guys.
Genre and books.
The main subject of this whole story is library, genre, and books. Is that right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If this is right, and if I want to create a story out of it, then what will be my next approach? What all different classes I have to create?
3 of them. We'll create a
Okay.
library.
Library.
We'll create genre. We'll create books.
Library. I'll create a genre. And books. Very good. Next question. What are the attributes that I can fill in for books? Let's go bottom up, because books is the main element that will actually have the information. So books, what is the information that I'll fill in the books, for example?
Types of
Title.
books.
Sorry?
Types of books.
No.
Title.
Right? Very good. Title. And?
Author.
Very good. Awesome. Author, right?
Publisher.
Publisher. Very good. Publisher. Perfect. This is going to be the books. That's great. Now, in the genre, all right. So, what will be the properties of these books? Let's keep it simple.
String.
Stop.
String.
Sorry.
String.
String.
No, the properties. What can we do with the books?
We can add.
No. We can read the book, right? That's the
Yes.
property of a book. So read book, right? That's a method. And I can say stop reading, whatever. Stop reading. These are my characteristics, right? The book class will have a characteristic. The characteristic is that it can read a book, I can stop reading a book. Stop read. Perfect. This is my simple book entity. Make sense? Yes, no? Any suggestions?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
As a
Yes,
part
sir.
of genre, as a part of
Yeah.
genre, what is going to be my attributes?
Name. Name of the
Name.
genre.
Name of the
Alright.
genre. Very good. And
Age rating.
sorry, I didn't get that part.
Age rating. So kids, adult.
Okay, rating. Okay, rating. And
Type of genre.
that is the name.
Okay.
Name. Rating. That's fine. Okay, I think those two attributes are fine. What about the properties? There should be one more attribute, which is very, very important. Why is that? Why is that important? Again, understand this. You have created a book entity, but this is just a blueprint. You are not storing any data here so far. So the idea is that the book's information has to go inside the genre. So genre, in one genre, you can keep multiple books. So you have to emphasize on the keyword multiple books. How can you store multiple books inside a genre, or how can you categorize multiple books inside a genre? So you should have an attribute called as list of books, right? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't have a list of books, how can you say that that whatever books you have in your collection belongs to a particular genre? How will you say that? Right? And once you have that, that's your entire genre. And then you can have a property property saying add book and remove book. Something like that. Remove book. That's your genre. So you have books, you have genre, and then finally you have library. So meaning all this information that you have stored in genre now goes to the library collection. So in library, what you can do, a library can have a name of the library. Maybe a library is having a location of the library. And finally, the library can have a list of genre. And when you do that, you can say add genre, meaning when you say add genre, ideally you are eventually adding a group of books under a library. Is it not?
Yeah.
Give me a shout.
Yes.
That's how you build the entire structure of your code base. This piece of information which I gave you, if you have understood this properly, This will take you long way, guys. This is the core concept of object-oriented programming. Okay, perfect. So this is how the entire thing works. I would like you to watch the video one more time. Also try to implement this story or create your own story and try to implement them on your own sweet time. But you always have to think from this perspective. Okay. All right. So I will take a quick 5 minutes break, guys, and then we will get started with the next part. All right. So as a part of the next part, let me just see what we have. How to access class member, I showed you that. Understanding Java object, I will just talk about that in a minute. What are methods and usage? It's simple. Understanding scope, it is simple as well. And that brings us to the end of this particular slide deck. I'll come back to you and I will talk about this memory management in a while. And I'm taking a 5 minutes break and then coming back. Thank you.
Yep.
All right.
Yes,
good.
please.
Okay, so then we understand about the class. That's perfect. Let's try and understand about Java object and memory management. All right. Just a minute. Okay. Java object and my bad. Java object and memory management. So there are two different kind of memories we have inside JVM. One is called as stack memory. Other one is a heap memory. Right? So what exactly the stack memory can stack? It basically stacks all the methods that are being called one after another. So you can see there is something that's called a LIFO. LIFO means last in, first out. So the method gets called the last is out of the stack memory first, right? The method that gets called last is getting out of the memory first, right? So meaning you have public, you have main method. After within the main method, you have method 1, method 2, method 3. So method 3 will be getting called getting in the list first, and then it will be getting out of the list first as well. So last in, first out, right? That's the stack memory. Next thing that we have to take care of or understand here is the heap memory. What is heap memory? Heap memory is basically a section where you are keeping all your objects with the data or without the data. That doesn't matter. What matters is this particular section over here called heap memory is keeping a track of all the objects that are being created. Meaning, as soon as I write this particular line of code, which is car Volkswagen equals new car, you can see that I have mentioned it in blue, right? What happens is this particular object got created. This guy is going to have its own object ID, or not object ID, but object location, a location ID that you and me cannot see, but this particular method, this particular location is kind of gets occupied, right? And then in the next line, what am I doing? So understand this, this particular guy here, it's a variable. It's a Volkswagen variable, okay? This is a variable of type car. Variable of type car, totally fine. So if it's a variable, like we can say this, right? We can say string name equals Sovic. We can say that. And immediately we can say again, that name equals Moses. Can we do that? We can certainly do that because name is a variable and it can be updated with another name. Exactly the same logic I have shown you here, where I'm saying that this Volkswagen, this Volkswagen is now again pointing to another object called new car. You see, I just ran the same line again. I said Volkswagen equals new car. When I say new car, immediately what happens? Another object got created. Another object got created. That's in orange. This guy is having a different location. So, for example, the location number for the blue object is 2323, and this guy is 2345. Random number I'm taking up, right? Perfectly fine, no problem at all. So the point is, at the initial stage when this line got executed, the Volkswagen variable was pointing to the location 2323. However, when I executed the line number 2, the same variable Volkswagen is now pointing to 2345. So the question is, what is going to happen to this particular location that is right now unclaimed? When I say claimed meaning there is an object, Volkswagen object, which is claiming the location that was created with new car, right? When I say new car, I created a object location and I say the Volkswagen is pointing to that location. That's totally fine. At the same time, now what will happen to this blue location? Because nobody is now claiming it. The Volkswagen object is right now claiming to another location. So what will happen to this guy? What will happen to this guy is Java garbage collector will kick in. Okay, this is kind of an automatic scanning mechanism. It runs in the JVM to see that if there is any unclaimed space available by someone, and if it finds it, it kills it. That's basically for a better memory management. And you don't have to really bother about it. Java automatically does that for you. But you got to know that what exactly happens, because I go deeper, whatever I teach, I go deeper, and whatever questions can come into your mind, you can ask me and I can let you know that, what is exactly is happening behind this scene, right? So this is what exactly is happening behind the scene. And this guy, which has its own memory location created for itself, and nobody is bothered about it, right? As soon as the entire execution of this object will be over, it will be automatically taken out of the heap memory, right? Everybody is okay with this particular slide? Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes, understood.
All right.
Yes, Savik, I have one question.
Uh-huh.
For example, right now in stack memory, we have all the variables and methods which are stacking up, right? And in the heap memory, we have all the objects which is created against the class. Now, for example, we used to create a static variable for classes or the inside the method, right?
Yeah.
So in static variable, if we create one static variable inside a class, that can be accessed. That variable can be accessed every other class, right? That's the concept.
No. So that I will say that don't jump the gun. Static variable, to understand static variable, I have to give you some more examples to make it understandable for you.
Okay.
So don't jump the gun. Just follow my lead. I will come to that part when the right time comes, and I'll show you how exactly static works. Okay.
Okay.
But
I just want to check that static variable, how this memory allocation will happen for that in this case.
memory. I'm just giving you a simple understanding. Static memory, static location basically is nothing to do with this objects. You can think
Okay.
about static variable as one of common section created. Okay. Common section created. This common section can be now accessed by anyone
Okay.
that you can say, right?
Okay.
In this
Okay.
car class, if I have a variable called as static static, maybe not seat, but location or driver. Okay, static string driver. Okay, driver equals Sysavik. Right.
Okay.
Then what exactly is happening? It is creating a simple location over here called as driver that is having a value called as Sovik. And when you try to access that driver object or that driver variable from all these card instances, every time you will get the same value as Sovik. Also, if you change the value of Sovik from Sovik to Moses, then it means that the same object is again going to access the same value, Moses.
Okay.
So whatever the value it is in the static memory or static variable is commonly accessed among all the objects. But I think I should give you a better explanation than this, but just giving you some pointers for you to do some research on your own. But when the
Okay.
right time comes in, I will give you a better explanation. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sure. Yeah.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
always it will store in the heap memory, not in the stack
Yes.
memory.
No. These objects are always in the heap memory.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. I'm not hearing from Komal or Manoj or Shravanti. How are things?
It's clear.
Okay.
It's good, but it seems like I would need more practice.
Yes, need to go through the video
Yeah.
one more time.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Just a minute. So what I'm saying is, please try to put in the time as soon as my class is over today. Try to, I will enable you with next week and get started immediately. Don't wait for the 11th hour. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, but this 4 months is very, very jam-packed to cover so many different topics. So you have to be proactive and put in the time that is needed. All right. Okay, that's that. Again, let's go back and let's look at something here. What are methods and usage? I told you what is it, right? I've spoken about the attributes and I've spoken about the methods. These are basically the properties. So I think you should not have any doubt in this space. Again, understanding scope. All right. Let's go and understand the scope. It's very simple. You see the students class. Here I'm adding all my attributes, all my variables. You see, these variables are defined in the global space or global scope. What is basically a scope? So you see, every entity in Java or any programming language, they will have a scope, meaning you see that this class called students, it is having a scope. The scope is starting from this particular bracket to this bracket, meaning this entire section is basically the scope of the student class. Similarly, the method start learning English, it has its own scope, starting from this bracket to this bracket, right? So what I'm trying to say here is that whatever I define on the very top of the section, okay, is belonging to a global scope, meaning these variables can be accessed by any class member. It can be accessed by any class member or any method or any constructor, right? Whatever you define in the global scope can be accessed by the method within that class. However, if you create a variable right here saying int something abcd whatever equals 0, I'm just giving an example. This variable is a private variable to this method, and no one will have access to this variable other than only this method, because this is a private variable. Obviously, it's understandable. This variable is within this particular scope. So obviously nobody else will be having access to it. So you have to understand about the scope part very well, from where to, who is going to have access to what. That is what you need to understand very well in the same class. Okay, so that's pretty much that I wanted to cover up in this particular section, and that brings us into this particular part, right? Let's go and understand the next part, which is class 6. And in here, okay, now I will be getting started with Selenium, because we actually have to learn automation along with the programming. Programming is obviously needed, but along with that, we have to obviously understand what is Selenium. Okay, Selenium architecture, what is a jar. This part, what is a jar, is already covered earlier, so I'm not bothered. Installing and configuring Selenium is very simple stuff. What is Selenium? Selenium is a free open source browser automation tool. It means basically what it sounds. You can automate your web applications, any web application. Please understand. Some people ask me that if my application is built in C#, can I write the code in test code in Java? Obviously you can, because to build an application, you need 3 things. You need HTML, you need CSS, and you need JavaScript. Okay, so some people will use JavaScript, some people will use C#, some people will even use Java to implement a web application, but it doesn't mean that you have to write a test code, okay, same as your application development code. You can write your framework, your test framework, in any language for that matter. You can write it in Java, JavaScript, C#, anything. And your application can be written in any language whatsoever. It has nothing to do with it, because Selenium works on only one thing, that is HTML. If you have a HTML page, you should be able to interact with Selenium, bottom line, right? Everybody understand that. You should understand this very well. Okay, so that's that. Now, we have in Selenium, we have 3 different type of flavors. One is Selenium IDE. It is basically a record and play tool. I mean, if you learn this, you will not get a job at all. Simple as that. It's a tool to play for kids, all right, or just to kind of experience that how automation works. That's all. It has no flexibility, nothing. It's just an add-on to Firefox, and it just can give you a play, record and play option, and that's it. Okay, that's number 1. What we are going to learn, we're going to learn the rest of the 2 things. We're going to learn in this course Selenium WebDriver, that's our bread and butter, and also the grid. Grid is needed for parallel execution. We want to run hundreds of test cases in a parallel environment so that we can execute hundreds of test cases in a much lesser time frame. That's the whole requirement out here. Okay, so Selenium WebDriver and Selenium Grid is what we are supposed to work with. That's number 1. Now let's go and understand how exactly Selenium works. This part that I'm explaining you, I have also given you an explanation in the video, but the explanation that I'm going to give you, or you should learn how exactly it works, because when you go for an interview, in whichever level you go for an interview, anyone can ask you the simple question that, can you explain me how does a Selenium work? Okay, this is what you have to explain the way I'm going to explain it right now to you. Okay, so at the very left of the screen, we have test code. What we are going to use to write our test code? In this course, we're going to write Java files, ideally, to write our test code. Okay, this test code will have methods like .click, .send keys, right, and many more. You will use these methods to perform action in a browser. You want to click on a component, you want to click on a button, and you would do that by calling these methods. These methods are belonging to whom? It belongs to Selenium WebDriver. Selenium WebDriver. These methods can be accessed from Selenium WebDriver. All right, that's my test code. Good stuff. So when we start the Selenium WebDriver instance. You have seen so far how to create an instance. We created an instance in our students class using students Manoj equals new students, right? Something like that. That's what we do. That's what we did, right? Right. That's how we created a instance of students class. Similarly, we will use something called as Chrome driver. Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver. That's how we are going to create an object of Chrome driver instance. Simple as that. When we do this today, you will see as soon as we run this particular line, Chrome driver equals no new Chrome driver. As soon as we run this particular line, you will see that a browser, the Chrome browser, a blank window of Chrome browser will pop up from nowhere, right? It will just pop up. A blank window will pop up. A Chrome browser blank window will pop up. Okay. This is what you will see as an user of Selenium WebDriver API or the jar file that we will add into the project. But in the behind the scene, what is happening? You should also understand. So it does two things. Number one, it pops up the Chrome browser or whichever browser you're targeting. So I'm saying Chrome browser here. At the same time, it triggers or it creates a REST API endpoint, or I can say a server that is waiting to serve your request. What is a server? Server is there to serve a request. As simple as that. Server is there to serve a request. So as soon as you run this command, Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver, a Chrome browser window pops up, and behind the scene, it also creates a REST API endpoint or a server. And this server is now waiting to listen the requests, the REST request. We will do a very, very deep dive into REST API testing when the right time comes. You know that this is a full stack test automation training. We cover backend testing, web services testing. We cover mobile application automation. We cover browser automation like Selenium WebDriver, and also the DevOps. So when we talk about REST API automation, that is where we learn more about REST API and how to automate them. But for now, you just understand that it is a server. The server is just right there, the WebDriver server, or I'll say REST server, which is just waiting for us to listen any REST request. Okay, everybody is okay till this? Yes, no? Yes, no, guys? Everybody is okay till this? All right. Now, when I'm saying REST request, when we are performing any action or when we are writing this particular code saying .click, when we are calling the method called .click, what is happening? What is happening is a request is being sent. A request is being sent to the REST server. But when a request is being sent, it is also being sent with some information. It is also being sent with some information, something like when you're performing a click, you would like to, your REST server would like to know which element to click or which page to go to and which element to click or in which element to enter some text. These are all information that you set in your test case, and your REST server is waiting to listen to your request that you fire when you perform a call to the click method or send keys method. Yes, no? Make sense, guys? Yes, no?
Yes.
So the question is, the information, click send keys, this information, it will be sent to REST server. All right. This information that is sent to REST server is sent using JSON format. JSON format. The information, the data, is sent to REST server using JSON format. What is JSON format? JSON means JavaScript object notation. Object notation. And what exactly is that? It's nothing but a data structure that is used in modern application to transmit data from one point to the other point. So you can say from the test code to the REST server, you're transmitting some information, and that information is being sent in a JSON format. How does it look like? Very simple. You can just do a quick Google search and figure that out. Just go here to Google and just say JSON. As simple as that, just a JSON. When you say that, click on image. And for example, click on maybe this guy. So, right? This is a structure, a data structure in which your data is being sent from one end to the other end. In JSON, you can send data in multiple ways. Number one is in a key value pair format, value pair. When I say key value pair, meaning, look at it, you have a key, like orders is a key, and this entire, and then orders is basically an array. The order is having an array. Within the array, you have number one order, just from here to here. This is an orders key, and you see there's a square bracket. Square bracket is nothing but an array. Array meaning you're trying to store multiple information of order. And you see within that array, the first information of the order is right here. Right? That's your first information of order. Okay. Within this, you again have a key value pair. So order number, and then a date, tracking number, customer ID, and then you have customer object. So here, customer is a key, and then you have an array of customers. And then that's the information of the first customer. Again, here you have key value pair, F name, L name, address, city, state, zip. You see how complex it can get. So this one single order is going to have the entire information of your order. It's in a key value pair format where this is my key and this array is my value. Again, within this array, I have a key and I have a value. Again, this customer is a key and this whole array is a value. Or this guy is again the object of customer, right? You don't have to understand this right now or break your head about how this format is laid out. I will talk about that in details later on. But for now, all you have to understand is this is a data structure which is used to flow the information from point A to point B. That's all you got to know. So if you have understood that, then let's head back to this drawing. Just a second. To go back to the previous drawing, actually. That's it, right? That's my drawing. Okay, so click is information is sent to the REST server. REST server knows that, okay, I have to perform a click operation on a particular element. Perfectly fine. This information is being sent in a JSON format. That is the reason why we call this protocol as JSON wire protocol. Okay, a JSON wire protocol using which an information is sent from left-hand side to right-hand side, and then it is further processed to the browser. Now, when we install Chrome, when we try to run our test code in Chrome, you have probably seen from the video that we also have to install, or we also have to download something called as Chrome driver exe, Chrome driver.exe file, right? From the selenium.dev website, you have probably seen that I have downloaded Chrome driver.exe file. So what is this file doing then? So up till REST server, it is waiting and listening to all the REST requests. And then there is also a middle layer for each and every browser. Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari. You go to any particular browser in the selenium.dev site, and you will see that they have a exe file for each and every browser. Why do I need them? So this REST server is getting the request from the test code, and then it forwards that request to the respective browser, whether it's a Chrome or Firefox or whatever. Once the request is sent to the exe file, that's where the exe file connects to the browser, actual browser, to perform the action. Suppose a click action. Once that click action is done, the status of the action is sent back to the exe file, from exe file to the server, from server to the test code, saying that whatever was sent as a request came back as a status. If a particular statement gets a 200 request or gets a successful request, only then the next step will be executed. This entire operation keeps on happening whenever you run one single line of code in terms of Selenium WebDriver. Is that understandable? Give me a shout, please. Yes, no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. That is excellent. Just give me a second. Okay, you guys can still hear me? Okay, you can hear me. That's good. Let's try and see what is a jar. I have spoken about that, how to create a jar, exporting jar, how to do that. I have told about that. Installing Selenium and configuring a project, very simple. Just go to selenium.dev. Can you guys give me a shout that how many of you have already done this part? Go to this particular, okay, go to this page, go to downloads, and just there's one single jar file that you have to download, which is right there. Okay, just click on this, it will download a particular jar file. I already have it, so I don't need that. Once you download the jar file, that's your Selenium binding that you need to add in, or Selenium library that you have to add into your project. Correct? How can you do that? It's very simple. You just go into the project like this, right click on the project, go to properties, go to Java build path, just like that. Under class path, say add external jars, and just put in the location where you have it. For example, we have it in DevWork. You see this guy? Open this guy, and this guy gets added. This jar file gets added into your project. Once you have that in place, that's where you can start writing your test code. Okay, so I'm going to create a new package here, new package here, and I will name this package as test selenium with a simple main method, right? So class, I say test selenium again with a main method, perfectly fine as well. So once I have that in place, what do I do? I'm going to write the first line of code saying Chrome driver equals new Chrome driver. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to instantiate the Chrome driver. I just said a minute back that as soon as you write this line, you should be able to open up the Chrome browser window, a blank Chrome driver window from nowhere. And you can see that it's giving me an error saying Chrome driver class is not understandable. So hover your mouse on top of this line here. It gives a suggestion saying import Chrome driver. Click on this guy and you can see you just added this Chrome driver as an import to this class. And that's where this line will now work, because you have imported this guy into your class right now. Okay, this guy Chrome driver is a class which is a part of Selenium standalone server jar that you have added inside this project. Without adding that jar file, you will not get the access to this particular class. As simple as that. So if I just run this command right now, let's see what happens. Run as Java application. As soon as I run it, I'm getting some error. What is the error? It says the path to the driver executable must be set by Chrome drive webdriver.chrome.driver. What does it mean? It means, if you remember this particular drawing just there, here, right? I gave you this drawing, right? I did talk about this particular Chrome, Firefox, Edge, Safari, all these different bindings or exe files, right? Browser bindings, right? It is looking for these guys. So in the code, the error is saying, give me the path where this particular binding is located. Okay, so let me delete the screen, go back, and it says path to the driver executable must be set by webdriver.chrome.driver. Copy this part, come back here, and I say something like this, saying system dot set property, and in here you just say this guy, and then here you say the path where exactly your exe file is located. So for me, it will be in the C drive, right? C drive. In the C drive, just a minute. Drivers, actually, wait, DevWork drivers, this location. Okay, so always remember one more thing, guys. Whenever you are choosing this driver, where do you get this driver from? In the same download page, if you scroll down in the browser section, if you open this up, you have this browsers, right? Firefox, Internet Explorer, Safari, Opera, Chrome, Edge. Chrome, click on documentation. For every one of them, it's the same process. Click on documentation. When you come in here, you see something called as latest stable release. So if you are downloading the latest stable release, all right, always make sure that your Chrome browser is also belonging to the same release. So if I open my Chrome right now, you will see that I yesterday updated that to version 90. And how will you know that? Just go to the help about a Chrome. Come on, help about Google Chrome, and you just see that it's right now update to 90 point whatever. So always make sure that if your test case is not running and it's giving you some stupid error with respect to the browser, then try to first and foremost check if the build a number of your browser is matching to the exe file that you're using. All right, and get both of them in the same version. So that's that. Now in the code, I just go ahead and I say that's my location. Oh, sorry, not this, but that's my location. And I just say that Chrome driver.exe. Okay. Can someone tell me why I have double slash here instead of single slash? If you have watched the video, I have explained that. Can you give me a shout, please?
It's an escape character slash.
Yeah, very good. Can you explain what exactly it is that meaning?
So if you pass a single string, it will consider as an escape character. And if you want to keep it as a path you are redirecting to, then you need to put as a double slash. That will override this escape value.
Yeah, so why escape value is needed, by the way. So for example, I have this out and I want to use slash, I want to print out something like this, Sovic slash n data, right? If I run this, oh my bad. If I run this, I get the value as Sovic data. Why is that? In two lines, because I use a new line character.
Yeah.
A new line character is activated when you use a backslash and then n. So backslash is basically making it work for us. So if I just say slash, then when we are constructing a path, it will not work, because to make it work as a string, which means this entire thing, say C/dev work, this guy will never work. This double slash will be constructed in the memory as C:/dev work. That is what is getting constructed as, because the first character is now escaped and the string is constructed as this. That's why we need the double slash there for the path. Everybody is clear with that? Yes, no? Very simple thing. Clear? Yes, no?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is that in terms of your configuring your Chrome browser. And then if I just run this, what's happening is it'll launch up a browser. You see, simple browser. And then it stopped, obviously, because I don't have any more lines to go through. Okay, you see, it stopped. The red dot is gone. So it's just terminated. The session got terminated. You see that? Terminated, right? So it just opens up the browser. Okay, and the server, REST server, is off now. Okay, nothing to do with that. Now I can perform an action by saying driver.get, and here I want to get into, for example, HTTPS expedia.com. Can we do that? Certainly we can do that. And when I try to do that, let's run this. Browser launches, it takes me to the expedia.com. Again, you understand, waiting, REST server is waiting for the command. So here driver.get is the command, which is sending the data in a JSON format, and your browser is launched, and then the application is opened. Okay, that's pretty much about how Selenium is working. If you can explain this to your interviewer, you are just super good. Okay, so that's that. JSON wire protocol. Let's understand the jar. Installing Selenium project is done. That's pretty much about it in this particular slide deck. Let's move on to the next one, which is 7. As a part of that, we have a few things. Understanding HTML and its basic structure, instantiate WebDriver using Chrome driver, what is browser console, HTML tags, how to inspect a web element, creating a basic automation script. That's what we want to do. Okay. So understanding HTML structure, it's very simple to understand, guys. So HTML is a structured language. As I said, for any website you want to develop, you need these 3 components at least. Number 1 is obviously your HTML, which is hypertext markup language. Okay. Which this works as a building block. Okay. And then you have the other thing, which is HTML, and then you have the other thing, which is CSS, that creates the look and feel. Creates the look and feel of the site. And finally, you have JavaScript, which makes the website active. Can you guys tell me something? Can you guys tell me that, for example, a simple situation. So I have Expedia.com. Okay. And in Expedia.com, I am, let me clear my drawing. In Expedia.com, I am giving some information. For example, my stay. So Paris. Okay. Check in May 2, check out May 3, perfectly fine. I perform a click on the search button. Okay. And it is getting me back with multiple results. Can you guys tell me, from your understanding, that exactly what is happening behind the screen, behind the scene? When you perform that click, how come this entire information is being fetched in front of you? Can you guys tell me some kind of a path that is followed, or that we are following here?
So it's using the JSON to talk to multiple client servers. With those client servers, they give a response back. That response is what you see on the web page.
Okay, that's really very well said. But if I want to go a little bit deeper, I would probably say it's something like this. That is, we have 3 different components here. Number 1 is the HTML plus CSS plus JavaScript. So HTML and CSS is there to basically give us a front end to work with. The front end that looks like a simple web page where I have multiple small boxes, a date section, and a search button, for example. That's all my front end looks like. This front end is built on HTML and CSS, meaning whatever these input boxes you see, They're all HTML components. The button is a HTML component. However, the color, the look and feel that you see. Okay, somebody has joined the call. Who is this?
Souvik, my Wi-Fi got disconnected. Shravanti
Oh, okay.
here.
Okay, sure. No problem. That's fine. So what I'm trying to say here is that the look and feel of the site is built with HTML and CSS. Okay, the button, the text box and everything. And then when you perform the click on this particular button that performs a search, if I really want to make it easy for you to understand, what is happening is that's my front end here. Front end here. And then there's one more component in this whole game, and that's called as backend, or I would say web services. What's happening? When you're performing a call, when you're performing a click, it is collecting all this information that the user have just set in these boxes, and it is being sent to a server. A server. Okay, it is being sent to a server. The server is just simply there, waiting to listen to any request like any server would do. There's a server. This server is there to listen to all REST API requests. The point is, when you perform this click, all this information is being collected and then it is sent to this particular server, a REST API server. This REST API server is waiting with multiple different methods. For example, there could be a method in this particular server called as get search result. This method is implemented via different types of components or different types of stack. For example, this method can be implemented with simple Java, Java Spring Boot, okay, or it can be implemented with JavaScript. What is that called? JavaScript. There's a particular service architecture for JavaScript. I'm not remembering it. It's something to do with MERN, right? Express, yeah. JavaScript Express. So ideally what I'm trying to say here is that there's a front-end development team who works on HTML and JS, and CSS and JavaScript. When you perform this click, all this information is being sent or collected and sent, or as a JavaScript developer or a front-end developer, you will call this method called as get search result. Get search result is the method that is being implemented by the web services team. So there are two teams ideally, web services team and the front-end team. The web services team are there to implement these kind of methods. We will call this as API methods. And these API methods are being called by the front-end developer when you perform a click on the button or any action that you perform. This particular method is being called, and this method is then going to take the information out of a database. It could be different kind of database, SQL database or a NoSQL database. That could be different in database. And this information is nothing but this method is ideally performing a query, a simple SQL query, okay, from into the database. database is going to respond back to the query. The get search result is going to send the information back to the server or the page. That is exactly what is happening, right? Everybody is clear with that? That's how application works, how web application works. Everybody is clear with that? Yes, no?
Yes.
And Harris, have I said right? Is this right? Harris?
Yeah, that's fine.
Perfect. So that is that there, all right? So now what I'm saying is, let's go back. Let's look at this guy. So all am I trying to say here is that we have a HTML structure. The HTML is nothing but giving me a look and feel, not look and feel, but the building block for the website. That's number one. HTML3, it follows something called as document object model, meaning that in any HTML page that you open right now, you will see two different sections. Number one is obviously the head section, and number two is the body section. In the body section, you actually are going to see all the components that you can interact with. For example, an image or a button or a paragraph that you can look at, or an anchor tag that you can click on, anchor meaning link that you can click on, or a button to click on, right? That is all comes under the body tag. And in the head tag, you put in information like title, information like the location of your JavaScript file, the location of your CSS file. Those things goes into the head tag. All right. So we don't really deal with the head tag much. We'll be only dealing with only the body tag, because that is where our main components are there to interact with. That's the HTML tree, as simple as that. Let's go on to the next part. Understanding the browser dev tools. All right. So what exactly we are trying to do as an automation engineer. Okay. So we are trying to perform an action in the web application. We are trying to perform an action in the web application. Meaning what? Meaning I have a page. In this page, I have multiple different input box, and then I have a button, something like this, which I want to click. I want to enter some text inside these boxes, and then I want to click on this particular button. When I perform this action, then I'm supposed to redirect to another page. That is what exactly I am supposed to see. This page is going to have some components, some sections, all right? And I want to redirect myself to this particular page. That is what we're trying to do. So if we want to perform this action, then obviously you have to understand that you have to provide enough information to your test case so that this information, this particular action can take place. Meaning you have to provide information about the text boxes, also the button, and also you have to perform the action saying that what action you're trying to take. You have to provide the information about the action that you're trying to take. For example, the click of the button, that's an action you want to perform, right? So the idea is, how do you locate the elements? Because you have to explicitly inform your test case that you need to locate an element and you want to perform an action, right? So locating is our bread and butter as an automation engineer. You have to locate the element. How do you locate the element? We will learn about XPath that will help us to locate an element in the web page. Okay, so how do we find them? We find them with the help of browser DevTools. Let me go back, saying expedia.com. You see, when I train, I always take the actual application. I don't teach you in a dummy application where things will be very simple. I want you to experience the actual hurdle to work with live application. Okay, so let's try and understand that this is my Expedia.com. And for example, I want to perform a simple click on this search button. Okay, so you have to right click on this search button and say inspect. When you do that, you will see a window that will come up over here, which is basically your browser console. It can come up separately, like a separate entity, or it can be attached to your browser just like that. I don't like this format. I like to take it out separate. So I will say just undock. So it comes to me like that, right? In this whole window, you have few components that we will be talking about. We have components, or we have tabs like console, we have tabs like network. Okay, we are going to talk about elements tab the most. In the video, I have explained about all these tabs. I'm not going to do it again. Please take a look into it. But right now we are concentrating on the elements tab because that's the place where we are going to find our element to work with. For example, we want to work with the search button. How can I do that? I can click on this inspector button and then inspect the search button. When I do it, right, you see that I am redirected to this location in this particular page, which is basically a button. If you hover your mouse on top of button, you see the element on the left hand side is getting highlighted. Do you see that? Every element gets highlighted when you hover on top of it. This button, when you hover on top of it, the button gets highlighted. What does that mean? It means that just a minute. Okay, sorry about that. So you can see that when I highlight the mouse on top of this HTML page or HTML section, you can see that search button is getting highlighted, right? That's how you will know that you are inspecting the right component. Why do I want to inspect it? Because we want to use it in our test case. For example, this is a button that is having some information like the tag. Button is a tag, and then it has some more information like data test ID equals submit button, and the type of the button is submit. Also, it has another attribute called as class. Also, it has a text called a search. This entire information is there for us to use in order to find the element uniquely in the page. So our main motive is to find this element uniquely in the page. What we will do, we will write a string or a simple component, and we call that as a XPath. We will write a simple locator, and we will use something called as XPath to locate this element in the page. How can we do that? So we're going to hit Control F in our screen. When I do that, Control F on our screen, just a second, here. You see, at the very bottom, you see this particular search option, find by string, selector, or XPath. That's where you're supposed to write your XPath in order to find this button uniquely in the page. So for me, I have just one single section called as search. this text search. So I can write something like this. I can say, I'm looking for a button dot double slash. Probably will not understand what am I writing, but just follow my lead. Button, and I'm going to say text equal this guy. And you can see that I'm trying to find out a button with the text equal search. Whatever I just wrote right now, it's a XPath. And we will have at least a weekend, a whole weekend, talk about only XPath and all the methods of XPath. Right? So we have this particular button called as search, and I got my XPath. So that's how I am locating my element. So this information will be sent to my test case, something like this. Driver.get, and then I'm saying driver dot find element by XPath, and here within the XPath I'm putting my locator, and then just say dot click. It's a button, so I should perform a click on top of this particular button. When I do that manually, if I do that, I'm getting this error. My motive is to test that I'm getting this error. Okay, so the error is coming over here. So right click on this, inspect again. You just seeing the simple error right there. That's your error, right? So div data test ID, that's your error. And you should see this particular error with a particular text called as to continue, please correct the below error, right? Or I can just say, I want to get this particular text out of this h3, right? h3 is a HTML tag. So what can I do? I can do something like this. I can say div, and I can say at data test ID at data test ID equals, I think I did something wrong. Inspect, yeah, data test ID. Div at data test ID. Inside this, I'm looking for H3. So there is a difference between double slash and single slash. I'll talk about that when I talk about XPath in details. But for now, this is my component. So I can say something like this. I can say driver dot find element by XPath. Sorry, by XPath equals this guy dot get text dot get, come on, dot get text, right? When I perform this dot get text method, what am I getting? I should be getting the actual text of the error, this error. If it matches, if the get text matches, then I must say that my negative test case is working fine. So I can say dot get text dot equals okay, this string. If it is equals to true, then I can say my test case is a pass. So all I will do is boolean status equals this. Why? Because you see, I use this method called as dot equals. I'm trying to equate the left hand side of the string with the right hand side of the string to see that if this part is equals to this part or not. And if it is, then I should get the result back in a Boolean format saying true or false. If it is true, then I say if status equals true, then I say sysout as a pass, else fail, sysout fail. Everybody got the logic of this simple test case? Yes, no?
Yes.
Everyone got it? Yes, no?
Oh, yes.
All right. So if you got that, then I just Java application, and what will you will see what will happen. Chrome driver opening. All right, I got that, and let's see. It's a pass. Perfectly fine. Good. So that's what is ideally we are supposed to do. We are going to look at an element, perform an action, and then go to the next step. So that's that. Let's see. DevTools, understanding HTML tags. All right, there are different type of HTML tags that we will be continuously using. For example, we are going to use something called as anchor tag. Anchor tag is going to help us to store or to create a link. I mean, we are not creating it. The developers will create it. We will simply use the HTML tags. So here we have the anchor tag over here that will help us to work with a link. So that is this guy, HTML tag. We have another tag called as input tag. Input tag is nothing but gives me a text box. All right. Then we have a select tag, which will create the entire list of elements. So we will keep on seeing this kind of guys over and over again when we deal with XPath more often. Right. That's that. Let's move on to the next piece, understanding HTML attributes. All right, for example, you just see something that is, I also spoke to you about attribute a minute back. So you see, anchor is a tag, okay, and then href is an attribute. Class is an attribute. So you understand something, right? You understand that href attribute makes sense with an anchor tag, because when you click on the anchor tag, you will be redirected to this particular link. So that's why href is there. But href doesn't really work with with a button, right? So the attributes, the tag and the attribute combination should also match, or should also kind of make sense, right? You cannot give a href attribute to a button. Okay? No, you can actually. You can, because when you click on a button, you can go to a link. It's possible. Yeah, you can do that. But you cannot give a href attribute to an input box. That will not work out. Correct? So that's how it is. So you have to understand that what attribute goes along with which component or which tag, right? So that is what I'm trying to show you here. And let's move on. We will keep on understanding it more and more when we deal with XPaths. And when we deal with XPaths, we will be talking more about HTML components and then attributes. So we will do a very good recap there as well. Moving on, find element. So you just see there when I wrote this simple piece of code, I said driver dot find element. This find element is a method. So tomorrow, I mean, the next week, we will break down this whole structure. Driver dot find element, then by dot XPath, then the click. You see, the way I'm just putting them in each and every line. Next week, I will break it down, saying how exactly I am able to write this whole command in one line. How is that possible? How is that possible? Can you guys give me, if anybody have learned a little bit about this command, can you guys give me some kind of a hint that how this entire line can be written in one single Or how can we write this whole structure in one single line? Can you give me a breakdown of it? Can you at least try to do that for me? Anyone?
Maybe we're just telling the
What was that,
driver.
Civic?
Yeah, tell me. Harris? Sorry, Komal, you can go on. That's fine.
Yeah.
Go on.
So we are telling the driver that find the element by the specific XPath and click on it.
Yeah, that is what we are supposed to do. That is what is happening, no doubt. But the question is, behind the scene, how are you able to write this whole line? There's a reason. I mean, you are not writing this whole line out of nowhere. There is a reason why you are able to chain them together, right?
Okay.
And that is what I am going to explain you. But Harris probably can give us some insight.
So you're using the Selenium library to find a method called find element. With that, you are then using the XPath to find the XPath, the attribute button with the name text. With that, you're finding the attribute titled search.
So Harris, you just exactly said what Komal tried to say. That is not my question. My question is about how am I able to write this whole, from Java perspective, nothing to do with Selenium. From Java perspective, how am I able to write this whole line?
The instance variables.
Okay, leave it. I will talk about that. Next week, we'll do a breakdown of how exactly it's written in the whole line, one single line. I will talk about that in details, okay? So let's not bother right now, but that's what we will cover next week. Okay, so inspecting element, I showed you how to do that, and creating a basic automation scenario, which we have done it in the video itself. So I will not do that here. That is where I end my class today. I'm going to enable you with week number 3. I will give you guys week number 2 solution. And also, we are about to end the first 4 classes. Today is the 3rd class. So I'm going to send you, every one of you, the information of how to make the payment. So I will send you that information. So you have to then process the payment by next week so that I can enable you for week number 5. And I will send the information for processing the payment after this class. If you have any doubts in terms of the payment information, you can drop in a WhatsApp message, or you can give me a private chat in the Slack and I'll answer you there. Okay. But we will be connecting back next week. That is on 25th. And that will be our week number 4 for this particular training sessions. Is that okay with everyone?
Perfect.
Perfect. Great stuff. Thank you. Thanks a lot, guys. And I will see you next week. I'm going to upload the week number 3. All right. Enable you with week number 3 and upload the solutions. By end of the day, you should have it all. All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week ahead, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you so
Take
much.
care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye.
Bye.